My body, my choice went away as soon as it became necessary to mandate vaccines. You must put things in your arm that the machine state requires, or you can't work. Or like they did in other places, if we can't fire you outright, we'll just subject you to testing every week. You don't want to take the vaccine? Well, we're going to demand that we're going to mandate that you get a swab stuck up your nose every week.
I know people that were getting injuries, and some of those little things were like stuck up too far up the nose. I saw this as ultimate compliance. Do you remember when you couldn't enter a business without getting tested to make sure you didn't have a fever?
Yes.
And where did they want to test you? On the forehead.
Yep.
So then you're walking into an establishment and you have a total stranger pointing a laser, but that's shaped like a gun at your forehead.
Yep.
Do you know that I walked into, I'm not a fighter, Isaiah. I've never even fought in the streets, but I walked into a business and a young man was starting to do this, and I went like if I blocked him with my arm, and he almost fell back because he didn't even told me two things. Nobody else. I was the first one that day that was like, no. Everybody else was just here, just zap, test me over here. I was like, no, that to me is psychologically like, I'm walking.
Gun.
Yes, it's like for people, for especially when we're talking. I'm sorry, I get so upset because when you start thinking about the psychology of a lot of people who have so much PTSD for all the violence that are happening in their neighborhoods, and then you're gonna subject them to get temperature checks by something that looks like a gun in their forehead.
Yeah.
I was having all sorts of tantrums. This is why there were many takedowns of our platforms. It wasn't because we were breaking rules. It was because we kept pointing out these nonsensical, common sense things, and people would be like, I see your nose, and I'm gonna go visit my grandma later, and I don't want to get sick because you're not towing the line.
Yeah. And like I said, if it wasn't the vaccine, it was the testing. It was the insistence upon, like, even remember some of the real foolishness. I'll never forget, me and my now wife, we went to this Italian restaurant on the in Midtown a couple years ago. They made you wear a mask, right? You had to walk into the building with a mask on, right? Walk to the table, right? Walk to the table, you sit down, you can take your mask off.
Like a good obedient person. Yes, that's what you do.
So as you're moving through the restaurant, you have to take you have to wear your mask. But when you're seated at your table, you can take your mask off and eat and drink as normal. Again, it was compliance. The one thing that set me off in particular were when Stacey Abrams and Kathy Hochul and all these other people were taking pictures unmasked, okay? But all the people around them, even especially children, were wearing masks. It's like, what? And it's like, what is this? What message are you really putting out there for people? Oh, that you're the hierarchy. This is no longer about hypocrisy. This is hierarchy, meaning you guys are the most ascended. You throughout heaven, and to quote one of my favorite animes, throughout heaven and earth, you all alone are the exalted one, are the exalted ones, the honored ones. Oh, really?
How amazing. Do you remember that they were also asking us to write our name, our number, our email addresses when we entered restaurants too,
Yeah.
because if
Contact tracing.
somebody got sick, track and tracing. I'm not gonna forget the social distance ambassadors that were yelling at us and all. I've never been offered free masks so much in my life. We also had people walking around the neighborhood if you had a small business, and they would walk in to check if you were compliant. If look, all of a sudden all businesses had to go out of pocket for all these different things, right?
Yeah.
Do you have appropriate PPE? Do you have, are you with gloves? Are you having social distance? I'm like, we have a tiny crystal shop. We could have, by their standards, we could have one person in the shop. How does that do anything good for business?
It wasn't meant to do anything good for business. Again, the small businesses were who the Democrats and even a few Republicans were trying to get rid of. Because remember, while so many small businesses, COVID, the mandates and the laws, well, no mandates because there were no laws passed. COVID, the pandemic, was created the largest upward transfer of wealth in human history.